Hey folks, welcome back. Remember this guy? This was last week's laser friction call. That was a bit of a failure. Whilst doing that, someone pointed out in the comments that I didn't even compare it to any other calls. So we'll do that today. But that's not all we're doing in today's video. We are going to talk friction calls. So stick around. Yeah, so in the video, I did not even compare this to any others because by my ear, it just didn't pass the test. It never dawned on me to compare it to anything else, but I certainly should have. It has some issues. Now let's compare it to this aluminum call. Glass. And a mass-produced glass. Now going back to this, I don't know if it's going to pick up all the nuances, but this sounds like, imagine something being played through a busted speaker. There's no treble, there's no high end to it. It's all very bassy, very low, and that's just because, you know, I kind of did the tap test in the last one. This wood does not resonate the way you want it to. It's very similar to a good quality guitar versus a not so good quality guitar. All of the attributes there that makes things resonate and vibrate and make it sound vibrant just aren't here in this call. So that's why I didn't really do much with it yesterday in the other video, just because of that. It just, by my ear, I was like, yeah, that's not cutting it. So that's why I didn't compare it to anything else. So sorry about that. What I wanted to talk about today is I've made a lot of turkey calls, and back in the day, I used to be really guilty about carrying too many calls, when really all I needed was maybe a couple calls and a nice little assortment of strikers. The strikers will go a long way towards making one call sound very different. When you're doing these things, you're creating vibrations. Okay, this is an aluminum call. Cedar and sassafras is what this striker is. Okay, a little whiny, maybe. Now, if I go to this bloodwood striker, which is a solid piece, okay, it's very dense, you're going to hear some rasp creep in. Now, that's the same call, but to a bird, it's going to sound totally different. I mean, it sounds like a whole different bird. This one's the smoky voiced jazz singer, and this one is the high-pitched pop singer. This one is a really soft maple. And it's going to sound different compared to this mass-produced synthetic. And that's another thing. You might have a call that you've never necessarily liked the sound of, and if you just switch strikers on it, that call can sound completely different. And then if we need to go into rasp, we just grab one of these more dense strikers. And it's much more reminiscent of like a box call tone. Having a bunch of these at your disposal, you can experiment with graphite. You can experiment with all kinds of different things. This is a random paintbrush, for instance, that I just grabbed a second ago. It's a paintbrush. I had contemplated doing a video on making these, but I don't think it's necessary. It's painfully simple. There's places out there like Brookside Game Calls, some other entities where you can buy the materials to make these. You're just literally buying dowel rods. Okay. And then if you get it through a game call specific company, they'll have little toppers, but you can see this is just whittled with a hole drilled in it. And this works splendidly as a striker. No fancy tools necessary at all. And if you buy them, you can buy everything pre-drilled and ready to glue. So it makes things super simple. And then you can experiment with just, I mean, that's a paintbrush. Come on. Different dowel rod combinations, different topper combinations. I've done them where I've epoxied shotgun shells on the top, and all of those things change the way things vibrate. So with this, with something like this soft striker here, we're not getting that rasp because this is so soft, it's wanting to really stick onto the surface here. It sticks to that playing surface. But when we go to this harder, denser wood, it's wanting to skate and sort of chatter across it. And that's where we get the raspiness. I need to clean this bad. When you do things like one-piece strikers, multiple piece strikers, soft wood with soft wood, or medium wood with a softer wood, all of these things change all of these little tones. So if you come up with a bunch of strikers that you can then pair with individual different calls, you can get all kinds of different tones from one pot call. On top of that, if you have a pot call that you've never necessarily really liked the sound of it, you may just not have it paired with the right striker. You might just be using a striker like this that you bought from the store and you're just kind of stuck with it. While these generally sound good, it doesn't give you all of these options. So if there's interest, if you all would like to see me make some strikers, I would certainly do that. But I can tell you the process is super simple. But I'll gladly do that if there's interest in it. So let me know in the comments if that's something you are interested in. Here's the one that I had made up for Christmas. This is a slate over copper. Let's see how the different surfaces respond with it. So that denser wood has that rasp in there. So this is a little not quite wanting to roll over. I probably wouldn't pair this with this call. So all of these things produce different little tones, works differently with different calls. This is a crystal. Very mild, very mellow. Let's see what the denser striker sounds like. Lots of rasp in there. This is a little all-weather tip striker. Yeah, nothing stellar. Yeah, so that call, I would have to go through more. None of those jumped out at me as being a favorite. And it's one of those things where if you have a surface you're really comfortable with, again, I love aluminum. If you have that, you're really comfortable with it, and then you can pair that with some different strikers that are going to give you very different tones. It makes this one call much more versatile. So let me know if you want to see me do some builds on this kind of stuff. I certainly can. If you have interest in seeing an actual, on the lathe call build, we can do that as well. So just let me know. But look into this. Again, this is so easy to make, so easy to put these together. If I think about it, I'll link Brookside below that'll take you to all of their striker making materials. If you just get the actual dowel rods, the great thing is I mean, they have about every wood that you can imagine. And then you can go to uh, some of these, suppliers out there like Bell Forest and places like that. They list the hardness of these woods. So you can find something that's like super, super hard all the way down to much softer and just kind of pick these different woods from one end of the spectrum to the other. And I guarantee you that those are going to make very different sounds on the same call. So when we make a call, what you use on the top, what you use for the pot, what you use for your soundboard inside, that changes all of those little dynamics in terms of the vibrations to make the call sound a particular way. But there's more to it than just that. That's also with the strikers. So when you have something that's really dense down to soft and everything in between, again, you can pull so many tones, kind of like tunes. I mean, it's essentially a musical instrument, but you can pull so many tones from just one call. It's awesome because I'll go out with this in my vest, a glass in my vest, and a bunch of strikers, and then I'm not just carrying all of these different calls. Just have a couple because I use them all the time. I'm super comfortable with them. And then when we couple being able to pull a bunch of tones out of the same calls, makes for a powerful thing. And again, I've seen birds not respond whatsoever to this call paired with a particular striker, and then just switching strikers, it just gives them the sound that they're looking for, that they respond to. And basically they think, hey, that's the attractive lady I've been looking for. And it'll bring them over strutting and ready for you to blast them. So just a quick little overview on that. Did want to touch on the Call of Doom. More to come on that. I'm still very intrigued by what I can get out of this laser in this, but just a quick one for you today. So thank you all for stopping by. Take care.